Hello and welcome back to my channel and the final week of the Seek, Gather and Create challenge. Whereas this week we asked you to find something vintage, so I've got some vintage papers and bits and bobs here. Indigo or dark blue, this is a cyanotype dye on a piece of vintage paper, but I've also got a dark blue acrylic ink. Game piece, so I've got this bee from my game. Dip it, and I'm going to do something with this silk for that. I've also got this piece of fabric and my second new product, my Indomitable Dame cards. These are something that I've created. They're new products to me, and they're up in my shop, and I'll pop the details below. Shows you these ladies, and they're all different. I can't wait to have a go at using them myself, so I thought I would use one of those for today's tag. Right, here's my tag, and we're going to start off with the vintage papers, creating a background. So I've got my matte medium out, and I'm going to start that, just adding a layer and tearing pieces of my vintage papers and placing them down on my tag. Just a layer over the top just to seal it down. There's a bit of ledger paper here. The colour we asked you to get was either indigo or dark blue. I didn't have a colour that was specifically indigo, but I really like the blue of this cyanotype print here, and I have some sort of dark blues that come into it as well. So just making sure that I cover all the bits of my tag. Using some of this little writing down on this edge which had a space, and then I went back to my cyanotypes. I felt like I needed another little bit of blue on the background here. I do. It gives me a great background. I've trimmed that down and it's dry, and I've picked out this lady to use. I've got my game piece. This is like a vintage sewing piece that I'm going to put in. I'm going to work on my dip it. So I'm taking my silk, a piece of plastic as you see there. I'm taking my acrylic ink in the dark blue, adding a bit of water to it just to get it moving a bit. Then I'm going to take my silk and just wet that down, or wet a patch of it down, so that the colour will spread. This silk roll I got from Tina Walker's shop. There we go, dipping it into the colour and watching it then spread up the silk. So that's my dip it. I'm just going to leave it alone for a bit to allow it to spread. Okay, we're back. What I did was I cut this image and then restitched it with some dark blue thread. There's my piece all dry of the silk. I love how that's turned out. I've also got this piece of the patterned fabric and my vintage sewing piece. They're like little poppers. So I'm just kind of working on my composition now. working out how everything's going to sit. I'm going to go for another little flap, I think. So I'm going to use this as the hinge. So using my strong Fabri-Tac glue. There we go. That's going to create a nice little hinge. So just positioning that where I want it to be. Now working out what I'm going to do with this little piece of dipped fabric. I decide I'm going to place it on the back, just there. That's how it's starting to look with the composition. Okay, my piece of dipped silk is down, and now I'm going to use the same glue to stick down my lady. I thought adding that extra bit of stitching worked really well, and brought in another little bit of blue. And now I need to add my game piece. It's just checking, and I put the image just slightly high, so I'm going to just shift that down. Luckily, whilst the glue's still not set, it's better. And I'm going to use the bee with my words. So just sticking that down. And the words I got from an old book are, "Her protest was brief," which I just was scrolling through the book, and that jumped out of me, and I just really liked that. And I think it went well with the image and with the overall piece. That's going down on my dipped piece of fabric. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the B off the word brief and have that big B of the game piece to replace it. Yeah, I'm really liking that. I'm just, popping the hole back in to position. I am denied about this piece, whether that was finished. I really like the inside. I felt like the outside wasn't quite finished. I couldn't make my mind up at all. So I looked at it for a while. I'm thinking about something that I might add. I thought maybe pom-poms. But as I kind of played around with it, I don't think they made the cut. I decided against them, I think. Or maybe I do stick them in, do I? I do. Sorry, they do make the cut. Of course they do. It's pom-poms. Still feel like the top half of that tag is lacking something. I kind of ummed and ahed again, putting a little bit more collage on the inside here, obscuring some of that corner. But no, decided against it. So here, I think I call it done at this point and say goodbye to you all. But then I, off camera, grabbed another bit of dyed silk in this lighter blue and popped that at the top. I just felt like that finished it off. So there we are. Take care.